Good. I'm actually rearranging rearranging my stuff to try to get this right. All right.
September.
Good. I'm actually
There we go. Okay, we're in on both platforms. We figured it out.
I don't know if we figured it out. We got it to work.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you've had a little bit of jam time. And all right, we're here. We're going to talk about September. We're going to talk about the vibe and the energy that September 2021 has got going on for us astrologically, what's going on in the sky. We are already just a couple days in and we have moved into some powerful energy with Mars and Neptune.
Absolutely.
So we'll be talking about that, but let me welcome Gordon Mullings. Hello.
How are you? Hope all is well.
Yeah, living my best life.
Yeah, it's I mean, we have some real powerful energy. It's funny when you sent the request, like, hey, you want to do something? I was like, yeah, this energy might be having a lot of people feeling away. So we definitely need to talk about it because this is a big boy that just happened yesterday and continuing. Mm-hmm. So definitely want to talk about what this can potentially feel like internally. So yeah,
absolutely. And so before we even jump in, will you please let people know where they can find you? I mean, of course, if you're watching on Instagram, you can just come right here, but what if they're watching on YouTube?
Oh, my website is theunlikelyastrologer.com, IG Unlikely Astrologer as well. Again, of course, my website. And you can go there and you can see all of the brilliant stuff that me and Stormie have done in the past in regards to lessons, which was awesome. I really commend you for the university. It's really some really powerful stuff that people don't realize. You had to dig to the end of the earth to get access to these people and also to the books of the knowledge that they gave. You gave for free. Like people don't realize how much, like you talk about Ricky and, Gemini, Brett, like these are not people that, I mean, in our worlds, for you to get a lesson from them, it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars just for a very small session. And for them to teach is a great space. So yeah, I was happy to do that also about the consultations, and I'm glad to do this as well. So
it's always big fun. I feel like when you and I get together, but it's so funny because my best friend's a Leo, so I love to run with Leos.
Yeah. I mean, I got that again, I was very happy. I just had a solar return, and I actually just celebrated my anniversary Monday. Monday. So got some heavy digits on there. Again, I did make sure I shaved so that you couldn't see all the gray, so you can just guess my age versus yeah. So yeah, it's been a great time right now.
Well, happy birthday, and thanks for being here with us. And if you are checking me out for one of the first times, you can find me on YouTube at Stormie Grace, or you can find me online at stormiegrace.com. So we've got the magic books out.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, listen, if your ephemeris isn't falling apart,
yeah, it's not.
It's a major energy right now, and let's go into what happened yesterday. Let's just dive right in.
Let's talk about it. So first things, I think we've got a little bit of feedback going, just a little bit, guys. Hopefully we fixed that.
That's from me.
I think we got it sorted. I think they're saying we got it sorted. So have some grace with us, guys. If it's terrible, just come to YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm sorry.
We're trying. We're both learning in here. But so as we came across and we moved into September of 2021, we walked kind of head square into energies that have been moving into place, but certainly then they came into their opposition, and we're talking about Mars opposing Neptune, and the opposition is happening in Virgo and Pisces, so they would have met up at 22 degrees. So this is my action, my desire, my energy, my movement squaring against ideals, squaring against energy that moves between the worlds. That's a tough combo anyways, because you essentially ask Mars to interact with water, and he's like,
It's not even just that. It's almost like not only that, but you got to boil the ocean, right? So not
Yes,
only you got to boil the ocean, and then you also have to take into account like Neptune's still in retrograde.
it's
So
still in
it's
retrograde.
adding a level of complexity of you're supposed to take this time to really go into the subconscious and deep feelings of yourself in a
Yeah.
Piscean type of rulership. Again, it ruling that, that deep water. Like you're out in the deep water and you potentially could feel alone. And it's telling you, stay out here, retrograde, right? Stay out here. We really want you to get the silence and understanding your true self and the energy that you're feeling. What are you really feeling, right? And then it's Mars saying, like, all right, we got to move, we got to do the action. And it's almost, it almost feels like soldiers in quicksand. Like you could feel like I'm moving forward, but something keeps pulling me
Exactly.
back. And it becomes very agitated, especially if you can't see it. So when you have the subconscious, these are the things that make you react in a way that sometimes during the reaction, post reaction, you're like, why did I act like so rough? But it was something from the past
Yep.
that you really didn't address. So this polarity is almost saying like it could be potentially really hard because now you're taking that past and really analyzing it. And if you're analyzing it really rough, everybody can money quarterback, right? Like anybody
Mhm.
can say like, hey, I should have did this, I should have did this. But when you start picking yourself apart
Yeah.
like that, so it's not an easy energy, and it's not it's an agitating energy, especially when it can bubble up. So it feels like let's say you have a huge container, right? And everything settles to the bottom, right? But when you start stirring that up and stuff starts rising, it could be either great stuff or it could be like, ooh, I don't want to see, like, and it
Yeah.
takes a while to settle back down. And that's what this can potentially feel like. It's bubbling to the surface, things that you have tried to
Hmm.
stifle
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stifle, not because you're, I want to also make sure that people are not thinking that this is a energy of feeling non-courageous. Sometimes you got to deal with day-to-day life. Like if you have something that is traumatic, you have to deal with day-to-day life.
Hmm.
It's not cowardly to say like I can't deal with this every day because I won't be able to function. But if you got that Mars bubbling it up, right,
Exactly.
that fire energy, that fire cardinal energy, and also having the analyticals, how could I have made this better energy blended in that soup, might feel a little bitter. The medicine, the medicine might not feel
Yeah.
as good.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because, like you said, in the nature of this, there has just been this level of conscious, unconscious, whichever place it is, of self-deception of
Right.
I just, I thought I handled that. I thought I was over that, whatever has been there. And then as Neptune is flipped retrograde, Mars in Virgo gets
Right.
the action of discernment. So Mars is over there having already picked through the pieces and is like, no, we need to talk about this. This is the thing, right? And so
Right.
it brings, but it's from the past, Neptune retrograde. And if you have a lot of retrograde energy in your chart, you might have been feeling recently like, why am I so in public? Like, why is what
Right.
right? Because retrograde energy
I'm
almost
used
like
to being about.
push it, yeah, like you're used to being in, and retrograde
Yeah.
energy in the sky pushes you out where you are like walking into that X, you are walking into that embarrassing behavior that
Yeah.
you took on, and it can feel that, and it can also just energetically feel like I do have this will to be better, to live my best life, but I'm tired.
It could,
Right. And it's from a deeper place than I think. Just I worked out too long and I'm tired. It's like a soul
yes.
tired,
Oh, this is
right?
a
Right.
core fatigue.
Yeah, yeah. Which is why, interestingly enough, we say as we're working with this energy, give yourself some time, give yourself some space, spend some time in your own space, seeing what it's good for. Conserve your energy. You have enough review of your own space and your own decisions and situations to be going over that you really don't have to drive to push forward. right? And typically, we were talking about it before, but what happens is you decide to say or do something or force your ideas out there and you get hit. It's like karma was on. Like karma was like, well, hey, told you to be at home.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
And I think that also, you know, when you kind of really blend the energies as well regarding like this Neptune, especially during the time of this conjunction or the exact time of this, this opposition, it was trine the moons. I think exactly what you were saying is like, hey, take the time to be within your space. But in a trine, right? It's not just the opposition of the square. The trine is trying to give you almost the space to say, make it be still again. Like these still waters run deep, but there is stuff that needs to be bubbled up and you have to address it because it's squaring the ascendant, right? It was squaring the armor that you put on of the front door. So it's also saying like, these are things that it's almost like what we don't want to do is become the person that's driving their car so long and we forget that the check engine light been on for like 3 weeks and then it goes off and we're like, we're good now. Like, hey,
right.
You know, like, like the car has fixed itself.
That's You're not like, how that didn't happen.
Right. Because what happens is let's say this Mars is giving you a loud noise to say like, yo, there's something, please address it. Please address it on a deep level, because if you don't, that's when the car's just going to break down. Like you're ignoring something, or Stormie, or the powerful thing is some things you don't want to get a callus to. Right? You don't want to callus the form on certain things because it potentially can hurt future relationships.
Absolutely.
Like if you develop a numbness, right? That doesn't mean that the pain is not there. It feels like, yes, I might want to numb the pain. And let's dive into more of the escapism of Neptune and Pisces, right? If you have the escapism, are you really escaping? Yes, temporarily. You might numb the pain, but the pain is still there. And actually during the time that you numb it, it could actually get worse if you know what I'm saying? Like that is the energy that people really have to understand in regards to this Piscean type of Neptune energy and how it is working to say like, hey, address it, because escaping forward or saying like, hey, you just oversimplify the remedy. Like, all right, we'll just get over it. Like, just get over it. No. The Mars can't do that with this one.
Yeah, Mars is not built like that.
Not for even, so not only Mars not built for that, Mars trying to do that to a Piscean type of energy in its house. No, hell no. We're not going to do that. Not today. Can't do it.
Yeah. Well, and you spoke to that square with the moon and the like kind of the nature of this Neptunian quality. And one of the things I think of is that trine gave easy access to that emotional body, right? Like, and it's ushy gushy. But then this Neptunian quality, Neptune also likes a high, likes a rise, likes an adrenaline rush, likes a push, right? And you light my emotions the right way, especially on something that I hate the word triggers, but something that pokes into my pain or pokes into an area that I feel vulnerable.
Agitated,
and you know what? Because I tell you what, I was sharing before, I got to have a good moment yesterday and I had to walk back and forth for a minute and have that talk with that person that wasn't here and come back down and go, now, wait a minute. What's really happening? What have I been offered here that needs addressing? But the beautiful part is that once you have your moment and you stalk them on the internet, you get past it for a minute, let the emotions come down, right? However we handle it. Mars in Virgo is pristine with a solution of action.
Yes, because and I think that Virgo gets like a bad name, and that's not because I'm rising Virgo. Maybe I'm going to be very defensive of my rising sign, but I think that we're in a world that they see service and humility and kindness as almost like weakness, and it's not. Mars is saying you like do that, but defend yourself at the same time. Don't become a martyr towards your goodness, because as people that are in the healing world, or those people that are in counseling, or those people that enjoy to help others, you just might, I shouldn't curse. No, don't curse, right?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm trying to talk to,
I do. I say curse words.
Well, and I just want to make sure I don't want to mess up your So my mother always would say to me, don't give your ass and shit through your rib. Yes. And that's the thing that you want to think about in regards to serving, right? So the level of serving one as well, because that's also Piscean and Virgo type of energy.
Yes.
Again, it could feel more technical on the Virgo side, and it's more emotional and spiritual on the Piscean side, but they balance each other out. The polarity is there, but you have to make sure that no matter how you provide that service, it is not a martyr towards the person or thing that you're trying to help.
Exactly. Because I think that Neptune does light up this idea that you have already been in the position of victimhood, whether that is the truth of the action or the situation that unfolded, or it has been, you have been a victim of your own ability to live and move and have your being. And so as it does oppose Mars, I always teach that the way that we resolve and work with an opposition is we have to find a middle ground. So maybe you do have to have that conversation about the situation that happened and you own your power, but you do it without tearing the other person down, to be of service in that way. Because to grant grace to our fellows is an act of service, and it's an act of healing as well. So I think that we definitely, we see that.
And to just dumb it down a little bit, you don't want to light yourself on fire to keep somebody warm. It's just, you don't want to do that. And there's also, again, and that's why as astrologers, right, like we can see this one very, very big thing, but we got to see what's going on in entirety. And when you get that Chiron in Aries square the moon in Cancer, it can be agitating, and it can feel like it's the wound that you just feel like it just can never heal, and go towards it versus ignore it. Because again, the check engine light is there for a reason, and if it goes off, that means the check engine light could either be broken as well or you're going to go down that cliff. So take the time.
And let me ask you, with Chiron here in Aries, right? Like he's had a nice long tour over here, and kind
in
of
retrograde too. So
and in retrograde, yes. So I kind of feel like as of last year, when Mars went retrograde and was there with Chiron, and I feel like there was a chat and a re-strategy session happening at a deeper level, where Mars kind of shows up as that big brother being like, hey, hold on to this, isn't working. This doesn't fit the identity anymore. So, my question for you is at this point, I feel like Chiron is like, hey, I'm over it. Go help somebody else so you can remember and see who you are, as opposed to just letting it be this grind into the wound, and at many different levels, I think people are getting to experience that Chironic energy, but I think we've had a Chironic colonic over this last year, where I do feel like we don't always give Chiron, give him his credit for getting us into the healing of the identity, right? Like that's the other part of Chiron, where it's like, got it, we've heard the suffer story, let's walk. And when you talk, when you share, when you tell somebody else what's going on, you help them out of their stuff, you grant grace. This is how we own that new identity that we spent all that time going back over. What do you think?
I think that a lot of people have realized, again, I think that, we've had like a great, it's like it feels difficult. It's like a Saturn type of feel. It feels difficult, but the lesson is going to be, and I think last year, again, with the great conjunction, but also the retrograde in that currently Saturn is in, right? In Aquarius, right? It's saying like, hey, let's peel away all the fluff, like all of the status quo things. We're going to peel away all of the external things that made you feel worthy, that had nothing to do with being worthy. And let's see how you really feel. And it is giving some people the business.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It is giving you the business for the reason of an Aquarian thing, to say, hey, like all these rules or all these requirements that you had, keeping up with the Joneses, right? Keeping up with what was not really positive. I want to take it all away. And where it's retrograde, my chart's actually in the second house. And I'm like, yes, that take it all away. See what's really valuable to you. And it's like a breath of fresh air to be like, okay, what really makes me happy? Was I happy doing this? Again, a lot of people that were working, I think there's like this aha moment of people working from home, like, oh, wow, I spent a lot of time being away from the people that actually are really important to me. And I think that that is not only the Saturn retrograde, but also the Pluto and Capricorn retrograde. It's saying like, let's restructure what you think is valuable, because it's not. It's not. And I think a lot of people are getting the whisper of mortality as well.
Oh, like, sure.
And that's huge. You could talk about that.
Mars Neptune, I mean, that is a perfect signature to do all sorts of things, but to certainly surge pandemic numbers, to surge mental illness, to surge the spots in us that need that spiritual medicine. I mean, it's like it surges what is unwell, I think.
And also, like it's sextile Pluto in retrograde. So it's telling you like it's uncomfortable. It's shedding the skin. But are we ready? Are you ready?
Yeah. Grow or go. Grow or it hurts, right? Like that is, I think, the motto of Pluto, like grow or it hurts. And by the way, it is available to be uncomfortable while you're growing, but it will just hurt if you don't grow, is my experience of working with Pluto and with all the clients I work with. You know, we can only sit internally with a lack of growth for so long.
Stagnant.
And we get stagnant. And, you know, and then I think this is where we see challenge in just relationship as well with that Plutonian energy, which is a whole other thing. But, you know, relationships splitting up, it's like, yeah, we couldn't grow together anymore. So there's been a whole, that's 3 other podcasts we could do.
Well, the thing is, it's so important, though, Stormie, to say like, listen, do you really enjoy this person's company? Or is it just dinners and, you know, what seems they fill the check boxes? Do they feed that Neptunian vibe? So does it feed that core safety? Like, again, does it feed that core comfort to say like, I really want to be with you on a bonded level, and I don't feel uncomfortable because I'm just with you. I feel actually empowered. You're helping me to grow spiritually as well as external. And again, I know I'm talking about a lot of energy. Hopefully it's not, you know, I'm trying to use the entire chart, but you let me know again.
No, there's so much to take in. There's so much to take in as we experience these energies. And like you said, and we were talking about before, it's not just that the aspect was applying and getting into position, because people will ask a lot. So if you're out there and you're like, but I feel like I felt that energy like a couple days before that, absolutely. These aspects have been trying to come together, and so you tap into that vibration. But then also we need to allow them to get away from each other. They have to separate. So this is in place for a minute, which is why we talk about it, because humans, I have found, you let me know if I'm wrong, we tend to use words like I'm crazy, I'm not enough, I'm effing up. And it's like, maybe, okay, sure. But also, what if you could understand energetically the bubble that you're standing in, how to work with it, to not just tear yourself down, but to be specific about what you're working on. And that's why we talk about it, from the application to the separation.
Yeah, it's the oversimplification of deep subjects. Like it's the oversimplification of what feelings means. Like it's like somebody saying, "What's the moon?" It's feelings. Well, what are feelings? Like let's unpack. Let's really get to, you know, not just keywords, right? But let's really talk about what that is and what that means to you. What does sad mean? What does happy mean? What does depressed mean? What does depressed mean for you? When's the last time you were depressed? What happened? How did it feel? And then also saying like, it doesn't have to be instant. Like it doesn't have to be a light switch. Like if you're sitting in a pool, if I try to warm the pool up, it's going to take a while to warm up, and it's also going to take a while to cool back down. So take the time with yourself during these things, because like you said, these words trigger, you know, these words, what was another word you didn't like?
That's my favorite.
Weird. You know, I hate the word weird, because I think the word weird has trapped so many people from doing what they really want to do. But that's another podcast too, right?
So we're just racking up the episodes to come back to you guys very clearly. But so, okay. So we've got this energy, we've got it moving, it's in place, we're feeling it, we understand a little bit how to work with it. But now we're going to get down the road just a couple of days. Let's move into this weekend and look at this beautiful Mercury-Saturn trine on
Okay.
on the 4th, and I love it. I love it. Love it. Right? When Mercury gets into a trine with Saturn in general, I get pumped, but I also get excited about it because it's like the mind and some kind of grounding now have access to one another. And these things, in a practical way, speaking for me, these things that I've been exploring for quite some time, really since August, are up on my table, and they have ease of access to some kind of structure, but I have to go back and see where I have to author, have my own authority, Saturn retrograde, to make these decisions. Whereas maybe, this last couple of weeks, I had a good idea, but my will to win has been wiped out by Mars Neptune. And now I have access to a little speed, a little grounding. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's also so I think that it's also just, where are you BSing yourself? Like, with regards to like what you were telling yourself needed to be done in order to climb this ladder of whatever success it needed to be, what externally was in regards to relationship, and just pulling back and stripping it and saying like, what are we doing here? Like, is this a good, is your thought process lined up with what you really want, or is it lined up with what you think other people want? Sure, and it's challenging.
Well, and if I've been, in a space where I've had this self-deception of my wellness or the process going on, whether it's conscious or unconscious, right? And then I get this awakening in this first couple days, then I'm much more serious and focus-minded on some in reality information, and I can access going, now, wait a minute, this is in fact not going to be as easy as I thought it was, or, oh, I don't need to do it this way. But I also think that Saturn is Saturn, and in Aquarius, I think that it brings people, places, and resources to us that help us make decisions in this current reality that can be solid as we go forward. Right?
Very solid.
You find out you have alcoholism. It's probably going to bring you to AA. Right? You find out this is going on over here. It's probably going to bring you here. You find out this over here. And Saturn is, I don't care. This is my opinion, but I think that whether Saturn is forward or backward, it takes commitment pretty serious.
In the work,
In the work.
But in a good way, right? So in the trining, flowing way, to say like, hey, are things really, are you just in the things that you really want to do? Are you BSing yourself in regards to what change you really want to? Like, are you really about that life? Like, are you willing to break, do the Aquarian things to, like, it takes commitment, drive, and understanding net worth to do things outside the box. Are you willing to do that? Or you're more concerned of what other people think?
Absolutely. And it's an air trine. So
correct.
This is dig into what I think.
Yeah. And it's a very powerful, the way you think is manifesting everything. Again, it's when people say energy, most of the time it's thoughts. And the thoughts, again, you could see the energy physically transcend. Fear transcends into cold sweats and nervousness and nausea. What do you think? What are you holding on to because of in order to change, what are you willing to let go?
Yeah. But I do feel like this first couple of days of September help to make it clearer.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then we find, because then we find ourselves, first of all, I do want to point out that Mercury at this point is starting and getting ready to slow down. It's coming to pre-retrograde shadow in a couple of days. So it's not just whipping. Okay.
Right.
So we have had a moment to experience these energies over the last month, over the last week, over the last year, and have some clarity of thought and spirit, and come to the table having been convinced that what I'm doing is not working, and make a decision to commit to something else down the road that puts a solid foundation under me. Saturn retrograde And that's that decision. I believe the decisions we make on the 4th and the 5th are going to be ones that in long term, we're going to see ourselves standing on.
Yeah, it's, I think also you're seeing a lot of people externally know their worth and like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, like, it's like the when they say like there's a worker shortage, I'm like, I don't think it is. I think there's people like, no, I'm not going to work for that anymore. Like that's not right. Or people have seen their work like valued more than essential workers, right? So people in the grocery store, the clerks were considered essential workers. And you're like, they make like $9 an hour, but you're making them go into the store because they're essential. Well, now the person that was making $9 an hour is like, hey, I'm worth more than that, because when it hit the fan globally, I was told to go, on the front line of things. And I think that internally that's happening for a lot of people that might not be in those professions.
Yeah.
But it's still going back to that same type of vibe of, what do I really want? What's the core? And what am I putting the work for as well? And if you've put the work in for a long time, because sometimes there could be that fear as well. Like, don't fear being different. Don't think like everybody, it's not the correct thing to do. And build your own ladder if you got to.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, we'll say this and maybe move on depending on what you think, but there's like a sense or a call to like, I have responsibility to these people. I have responsibility, like I have agency plus responsibility for the people around me. And it's time for me to make a decision to, I don't love this, but I have to be the best version of myself to allow that to happen, So I feel like this is just a critical decision time as we talk about it. So, because Saturn is still over our elders. It's still over our elders. It's still, and what responsibility do we have to aging? At some point, we're going to look in the mirror and be like, look, Storms, we're almost 40. Okay.
Well, the thing is, I think also it's a matter of like, I think it could also be breaking down those, like, it's time for change, right? So Saturn is the old ruler of Aquarius. So it's saying like, now you know the rules, we might have to break them a little bit, like, and be fine with that. And I think that that's the portion that now people are like, all right, I don't like those rules anymore.
Absolutely. Which is societal, right? Like this is where we see it in play in the societal structure. Because like you said, and you brought up, people are like, yeah, no, man, I mean, I actually found out I could save money by not sending these kids to daycare and working from home. That has changed the society game.
Yeah, it could be also to the other side. Like, wow, these teachers do a lot of work because these kids are killing me.
Absolutely. Yes. It could absolutely go both ways, but it definitely is changing the game in terms of societal structures. And on the global stage, we're seeing a lot happen where this arrangement, this commitment doesn't work for us anymore.
Yeah. And absolutely.
And that when
there's paradigm shifts
everywhere. And when we change things, certainly on the global stage, we will change them on the personal stage.
Well, that's what we're waiting to see once these planets come out of retrograde. But I think it all goes back to that great conjunction, and where it all was saying like, all right, we're going to shake it all up. All the structure is going to be shaken up, and we're going to see people for their true colors, the ones that are fully committed, ones that are selfish, ones that are naive, ones that, all of these different things are coming into place. So you got some questions? People questioning you?
No, I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping both chats going. I'm using that Mercury in Gemini to its fullest right now, you guys. But so let's pop forward, because then we come into the Venus-Pluto, who is also retrograde. Square, they're going to meet their square Libra Capricorn. So you guys, as you're listening, make sure you're identifying this on your own personal charts. If you don't have charts, get one from Gordon, get one from me.
Give them the date.
Oh, this is September 5th.
Okay.
Yep, September 5th, and they're going to meet their square at 25 degrees. Okay, so you can locate Libra Capricorn on your chart, 25 degrees. Okay, so now when I just feel like, let's start with the oversimplified version for a minute.
Okay.
But I do feel like when Venus and Pluto come to square one another, it gets profound real fast, I think.
Real fast.
And it's cardinal. They're having their square. It's a cardinal square. So it is like a square asks us to do something. Now we hope it is an evolved something that I do.
Not reactionary, please.
But I do think sometimes this energy, whether we say it out loud, Gordon, or we don't, feels like, well, I'm going to give them an ultimatum of this or this.
I was going to, exactly. And that's the thing that I'm nervous about, because when the energy is like that, sometimes you're like, wow, did I just quit my job?
Yes. Where you're like, hold on.
In the parking lot, like,
are we getting divorced over toothpaste?
Yeah. Right. Like, it's definitely that vibe of like ready, fire, aim. Like, you got to be very diligent in what you're talking about right now. You have to use the Plutonian forensics. Really think about what you're going to do before you do it, because I don't want that passion and that, you got to be, because again, it's just think it out and think it out thoroughly. So let's say somebody does leave their gig, right? What does that mean? How many months of cash do you have? Like, what's the cash? Like, they have those metrics when you look on like company files. It's called cash burn, right? Like, how many months do you have? Like, think it through, because it could feel like I'm sick of this, right? Because of the past transit that bubbled everything up to the surface. And now you're like, you know what? I'm sick of this. But you didn't plan it out. So.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the other thing is that it's been a time where, even though I think, we arrive at this weekend and you're given some access to some solution and things like that, my vulnerabilities, my insecurities might still be up on the table. And if you push my pain or you push my vulnerability, I'm like, I feel froggy. I'm going to jump, and, there is an intensity to Pluto Venus that I think can be really good for your love, for your money, for your Venus things, if it is handled correctly. But the correct is like, well, what's at the root of why I'm doing what I'm doing?
Exactly.
Pluto's a rooting planet. It wants the root. I gotta get down to why am I about to do this? And usually it has to do with my fear, has to do with my insecurity of something, has to do with something, not necessarily, I don't want to say unresolved, but I do think I've just been too afraid to change it.
I think it could also be, and I think unresolved is a good word. If you say like, it almost is like, I'm tired of rebalancing these scales to fit you.
Sure.
Right. Because again, it's in Libra. I'm tired of adjusting the scales because I'm doing everything I need to do, or I'm doing all that I really love, but so I'm tired of it. So if the scales got flip over and hit you, so be it. But I'm tired of adjusting. Like, sometimes it's just like, sometimes the kid has to fall. Like, it's just like, but you got to make sure that you're not being, again, it's the Mars Pluto archetype is real. Like, you got to make sure that it's not just pure passion without thought process behind it.
Absolutely, because this could even be, and we may see it because Pluto is one of our outer planets as well. This is an energy where there is violence that can be attached to it, for sure. Unresolved things, insecurity have been rooted to the surface, and across the globe, we have literally been Capricorn, right? We've been unrooting our earth down to finding bodies of civilizations right? And
Yep.
people need to account for that. And then that comes with decades of emotion that needs to be processed and questioned and all of these things. So, but I do want to speak to the positivity of this square. If you are in a relationship that can survive, is able to meet the intensity, I think you get to have some conversations and some experiences that are those soul shaking conversations. And maybe it doesn't even feel like you sat down and peeled onions from each other's soul. Maybe you guys made soup together and something happens. I think that is available too.
It's definitely challenging the bond, or saying if you're looking to get past just a relationship and have true connectivity. And it's, soul is such a vague but powerful word. It might come those talks like, hey, this is something that has been bothering me, and I can't change what you do, but I'm just telling that if you continue to do that, I'm going to have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's just as simple as, because we can't change anybody. Right. And that's the thing, is that it all comes down to the core of loving thyself. So relationship starts relationship of yourself first. So again, if you're looking at your chart, it's for you. Like, this is not, you're not putting this chart on somebody. This is your transit. And this is something that you have to root out, to say all right, am I tolerating something for this? And how do I discuss this to say, this is not an ultimatum, because I can't make you do anything. But what I can do is change the way that I react, and also tell you that if this continues, this is what happens. And it changes the structure of
and you said it. How do I communicate this? Mercury's in Libra. I need to talk about this. I've been struggling with this thing. I need to say it out loud, but my vulnerability is on the surface. And as a loving partner, I get to receive you where you are and not fix you, but hear you tell me that you are struggling, right? With whatever.
And it's also understanding what you're missing, that you need to fix yourself, because no one should try to fix. If you have a gaping hole, it's not another person's job to fill that. It's your job. And stop thinking something external could fix you internal.
Yes. And then we roll ourselves into this new moon on Monday on the 6th in Virgo at, what do we got? 1438.
Yep.
And I like it. I'm looking you guys, I'm looking at the ephemeris. I'm looking at my little chart here.
You see me looking like I got a bunch of stuff up too.
There's so much going on. Okay, so we've got, yes, this new moon in Virgo. First of all, a new moon is brilliant just in its astrological aspect and its astronomy. The sun and the moon are together in the sky. When our luminaries are together, absolutely anything is possible. But what I think I want to just point out here is, while anything's possible, anything's possible. This is the soil that is fertile. It is magic, and we are planting in the dark. So I do try to be mindful with people that, not in a fear-based way, but in a be conscious of your life. What we plant at the new moon, for good or for ill, we grow. We're going to spend some time with that thing, right? So being conscious, and at this particular moment, we've got the sun in a trine to Uranus, who's just recently come retrograde in Taurus. So now we've got an earth trine going. And I do feel like when there's an earth trine going on, it's much more of an outward experience of the energy, because earth signs like to deal in the material plane. Right now, sometimes they have to get down in there, they're like, but we're going to go into the earth because that's where the gems are, but it's certainly, a trine with Uranus to the moon is like, hey, guess what? You found out you got to restructure all this stuff, and you need to be steady, and you need to be solid, and you need to commit to your health and your well-being. I'm going to give you this thing that you used to be interested in. Remember how you liked this Uranus retrograde? You found value in this. Bring that back. Bring that group back.
Yeah.
Bring that savings plan back. Don't bring that relationship back. That was crazy.
It's actually very true. And it's funny. Again, I always love and use the soil analogies, because I use them a lot, because I used to be an urban farmer. But the thing is now you have to ask yourself, have you been planting the wrong seeds? Have you wanted something to germinate that just cannot germinate here? So you got to change what you are continuing to plant. So if you are planting mango plants in Buffalo, New York, it's not going to work, right? It just can't. So what do we have to make the adjustments for to make sure that we're planting the right things in the right, like it's the seasons. What we're telling you now is the astrological weather. Think of your chart as the trees, right? But we're telling you it's windy. We're telling you it's baking, cooking hot. It's torrential downpours. But how are you, what for your chart, right? And that's why it's so important to understand your chart. What season are you in when this happens, right? Because they're all unique. And what you said was brilliant in regards to saying like, hey, this is Earth sign. This is a very good time to put those manifestations specifically for what you want and be very intentional with it. It's what do you want tangible? Don't be fluffy and vague, because the universe will give you vague and you'll be mad.
You'll be mad. I promise you'll be mad. Right. But do you feel like, I do feel like this moon has an air for me of excitement, because I've seen some things this last 4 weeks and I am willing and maybe even excited for some change. And if you look at that chart, and if you guys look at the chart on your own, it's loaded with fours. There's a whole bunch of fours on that chart. And four numerology is about steady, sturdy progress. Right? I'm serious about it. I'm ready. And so I feel like you have this Virgo energy that's already steady and wants things to be the very best that they can be. Then we offer this other earth energy. And it's like, I'm ready. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. This is a new moon. It's dark, but I'm excited for change. I'm excited for what's next.
Like, think about what's going on too. Like, you have the new moon trining Uranus. And then you have Mars and Pluto trine.
Yeah.
Change. God's change. Mars is the old ruler of Scorpio. Change. It's really telling you not only change your seeds, change the way that you're viewing these things. And it's possible too. So don't think of your age, don't think of your gender, don't think of your experience as limiting factors. Think of what, like, close your eyes and think of like what it would look like if this actually worked out well, if you got full germination and bloom in fruits. Like, do that. And I think that, I'm excited.
And I think that we should be, because there is just it's the soil of magic at the new moon. Anything is possible. So exactly like Gordon is saying, close your eyes, live it, dream it, feel it. I know those sound like terrible words, but because when you make them too simple, like you said, they cannot be that, but get outside of the box. It's
an attack.
Okay. Yeah, attack. Yes. Oh my God.
Well, the thing is why, because in warfare, they always attacked at the new moon. If you watch Game of Thrones, all of the attacks are on the new moon. Why? Because it's dark. Yeah. They want to be surprised. They want to attack during that time. So it's not just, but just think of the concept that, again, total darkness means that you can move forward and
absolutely
do it.
Yeah. Be out there sprinkling all these seeds, and you're like, I've never even eaten pumpkins. I'm doing pumpkins this season. Try it on. It's Uranus. Get out of your box. Get out of your cultural box. Get out of your language box. Get out of your industry box and go see what else is out there. Right? Stretch. And that doesn't, I love you, but please just don't go take a yoga class unless you've never done yoga. Like, go do something you don't normally do.
Correct. Because you'd be surprised how much you like it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, and it also, in the United States, just to be fair, Labor Day. So they're already excited on Monday for this 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
Right. In the United States, we've been getting geared up. I know my children were like, yeah. They were excited for this Labor Day 4-day weekend in August.
Well, yeah, my kids went back to school, so they're like, Dad, we get school off and we'll be in the pool. And I'm like, sure, absolutely. So again, really embrace that energy and be very, I always like to handwrite my affirmations on the new moon. The reason why I like to handwrite them is I handwrite them and I say them, right? And then I put them away. When we move, I put them all between the box spring and the mattress, so I never see them, because I think of them as seeds. They have to, again, most of the time with seeds, you sprinkle soil over them because they need darkness. So don't just go nitpicking at your
Yes.
seeds. Like put them, but be very intentional, because it's called succession planning in farming. So you are planning out, but you have to plant during a certain time to get harvest at a certain time. So
Yeah.
do that same thing, but don't start digging up and over analyzing. Again, Virgo, that dream, that what you want to manifest. So
Yeah,
I hope that makes
absolutely.
sense.
No, my grandma used to always tell me, because I would be infamous for going to turn on the oven light. She's like, you don't need to look at that. You don't
Right.
need to watch it. It's gonna cook just fine. It doesn't need your help.
You've done all the work.
Right? And today, I tell you what, I'll be upstairs doing something, and I'm like, the bread's done, and have to go downstairs, because that intuition, you trust that at a new moon. So
Right.
now also though, we're gonna have Rosh Hashanah on that day as well. So culturally, if you don't know anything about Rosh Hashanah, find out a little bit about that, right? Some of our fellows who are in this astrological community are having a celebration. They are having something in their sphere. So I always think it's nice, like when we're having things, to kind of bring that up. I really love that there's a Valentine's Day in China. Like that's probably been my favorite for a while. I didn't know about that. And then I got to learn about that. So, okay, so let's fly. Let's get to this Venus transition into Scorpio. Yes. And so, all right, so we've got Venus heading into Scorpio the 10th here. So obviously mid 0 degrees of Scorpio. Now Venus in Scorpio. Okay, let's just be honest about it first. She's not entirely comfortable. Because Venus
is anybody ever comfortable?
Okay. Like you're like, that's not the point of your visit. Your comfort is not the point of your visit.
Correct.
Okay. But so we consider Venus to be in what we call detriment in Scorpio and in Aries, but mostly, I don't find it to be negative. I think no matter where a planet goes, it has to get on board and do business the way that the sign would like to do business. So they figure it out, right? The hardest one I feel like is Mars and Cancer, because Mars is like, come on, man, like
let's go.
Got to do some things. They do get it together though, because cardinal is Cancer. So, Cancer is cardinal. So that I think but either way. Okay. So Venus moves into the energy of Scorpio. Can't just be as free and I love everybody and it's all good. And the rose colored glasses really do come down and we start to get deep. Like, I love you for your imperfection. That's this one. I might love you for your imperfection.
It's
So what happened? You just had like a long.
Well, the thing is that it's a lot of people don't feel comfortable with the Scorpion energy, but it's exactly what you need. It's the shedding of the skin, but the process is growth, and it means that you're going to have to see things. It's almost like you can't say the BS to yourself anymore. I'm gonna grab the back of your neck and I'm gonna put your face in the mirror and say, this is the problem first. Right? you are the problem first. You are getting in your own way. And why? What are you scared of? Are you scared to fail? Why are you scared to fail? Because of external factors, or are you going to learn during that process of transformation? Because you keep tap dancing around this thing, and it's with the Venus archetype. It's you. Like it's not anybody else. It's what you are thinking about. Don't think of Venus as just external. It starts internal first.
Sure.
And this is people forget the Phoenix rising. It is on fire first. So that's the part that people forget. And
this girl is on fire came from Venus and Scorpio. I'm pretty sure. Alicia Keys right there.
So it's just a matter of are people prepared to have those in-depth internal conversations?
I agree, but I also think, Gordon, that Venus in the Venus nature makes that exploration easier to see. Right? I think that it does. Yes, of course. I mean, because of course, Venus and Scorpio, depending on where you're at and how you're manifesting your world and decisions you're making, Venus and Scorpio might be like, I'm ready to fight. I am perfectly willing to fight with you because I find passion and I find intensity, and some piece of me needs this level of chaos in order. And that's, to be clear, if that's where you're at, this is not a judgment. We're not saying that it is wrong. Do you? Everybody is learning what they're learning, is what I think, right? But there is that availability. But I do think when it comes to having a significant look with depth at ourselves, at our relationships, at these things that lie beneath the surface, I would rather travel through Scorpio with Venus. She brings better snacks.
There's a lot of change.
There's a lot of change.
It's squaring its ruling planet.
Yeah.
So it's really, and it's a structural change, right? It's Capricorn, and it could be a little challenging. Again, it's not a matter. And do I have that right? I believe so. Because it's widely squaring, but again, it's still widely squaring Saturn as well. So it's two very transformative type of energies that is happening.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I'm just kind of getting this now as I'm just taking a peek here too, that, you know, for all of us, I feel like Venus and Scorpio really digs into some of these contradictions of softness, of a feminine energy even, right? Like maybe there's been a lived contradiction in how we get to demonstrate that. You know what I mean?
And who's demonstrating it? Like it's not, there's a yin and yang to us all.
Right. Where it's like, you know, have I really adapted really far towards one side of an energy and I've not had access to this other as well? You know, I kind of getting the sense that could be an availability that we're gonna see in this time as well. But for whatever, sure, we're gonna love, feel, move, and do deeply.
You're gonna be in the fields. You're going to be in the field, and it's fine. So embrace it. Again, it's about being prepared for the energy and saying, what is it trying to teach me?
Yeah. I love when Venus gets into Scorpio every year because I have Jupiter in Scorpio. So I'm going to tell you some of my best content gets created around about September every year, you guys. So when you watch it in 2022 and you're like, Stormie, this was deep, I'm going to be like, thank you, Venus.
Right. And it's giving people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Absolutely. Okay, what do we got next? Let's jump into that next week. Oh, we've got the Sun opposing Neptune. Mars will enter into Libra a little bit later that day on the 14th. So we've got that going. Hold on, let me see. This is going to be, I wrote it down, I didn't write. Okay, this is going to be at 22 degrees Virgo Pisces. Okay. All right. Soft version. Get creative. Get creative. Sun opposing Neptune, my light, heat, my life, vitality, my big old ta-da runs into Pisces. So what I'm doing physically, materially, Virgo runs into or opposes Neptune in Pisces, which is what I think, how I feel, right? Because we need Neptune and Pisces energies because we have to create in an intangible space before we make it tangible. Typically, you know, before a chair was a chair, it was a vision. And now we got all kinds of chairs. Thank God. Right. So I've got my ta-da running into that particular energy. So instead of trying to like force myself in a physical place or force myself in the material world, it might be another nice day to take the back seat for a second, get creative, find the common ground in the middle. You know, what actions can I take on some visions that are coming back to me, Neptune retrograde, and see what I can do with that. Is it a day, you know, I think sometimes people hear Neptune and they're like, I have to paint. And I'm like, not everybody likes to paint. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to paint if you don't want to paint.
Right.
Maybe you're going to go to the store and stare at the fish, right? You know, whatever it is, it's a nice creative day. What do you think? I
think it's very creative. And I also think that it's also saying to you with the Virgo type of opposition is just understand what the difference of fantasy and imagination is, because you can manifest and build the imagination. And a lot of the thing, but fantasy is just like Harry Potter, right? But imagination is innovative and things that you have down there. So if you can put a little bit of structure towards that stuff, I think might be a really good time to do that. And just be calm with yourself during it. Like, be nice to yourself during it.
Yeah. And I do think that because I've kind of got my insides versus something else. It's not the best day to be making high power decisions with what I'm doing with my material resources, you know, because whether or not, I just feel like there is something spiritually, we move in between the worlds when we interact like that with Neptune. And that means that not everything is always clear. So it's maybe not the best day to make all of these financial decisions or to buy into the special of the day, unless of course you're going to read the fine print, you know, or if this is this day, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, somebody's coming back from the past and opportunities coming back from the past. And it's so good. It sounds so good. But is
get the paperwork?
Get the paperwork, right? Yes, you're coming back into my life, and we had a falling out. You're coming back into my life. I'm willing for some forgiveness, which is fine, so we can both be free. I can be free, right? But I need to watch you over the next couple weeks before I'm going to make decisions about whether or not you can stay, because I don't need you to tell me you're better. I don't need you to tell me this is the best opportunity ever. I need to see it and make sure that I'm dealing in a factual way, but also. Correct. Do you want to paint with me?
Because I need that as well. Yeah, it's definitely a time to really embrace that. I mean, I think that, like you said, the energies of feeling dreamy, or the energies of feeling the intangibles is not bad. Like, it's not a bad energy, but it's good to kind of settle down and listen to what it's trying to tell you as well. And that might be the time to really do that, like to close your eyes and say like, hey, you know, just relax. What do you really want to do? And what are we doing? And moving forward with that. And how can I, if I want to push forward, how do I do that? And plan it out. Like, and I think it's a good energy. I think it's a very good energy.
I do too. Now, if you happen to be Sun in Virgo, you are a caretaker of some variety, right? So you're taking care of mom, you're taking care of dad, you work in a hospital. I think when we get a Neptunian interaction again, all forms of psychosis, mental things, hallucinations, all of these things can really pop up. And what you may be experiencing through the lens of this transit is you are the solid caretaker, but this person is fighting an entity you can't see, but it is manifesting in their behavior, right? So I think for caretakers, this is just like the full moon. I think it is a good place to just be mindful that fighting a hallucination is not a battle you're going to win, but how do you navigate, how do you pivot to help people? Because Neptune is just phenomenal for waking up the mental stuff that we can't see until it really manifests externally. So, you know, if it's a day or a time where you're a caretaker, it may be a little bit of energy over there.
Yeah, recharge your batteries, but then also I feel like it's almost that, am I a caretaker or am I a martyr? Am I taking care of somebody or am I giving up my life? You know,
well, I'm thinking more physically, like I'm taking care of Esther, who's got Alzheimer's.
Got all the what?
Got Alzheimer's.
Right. So how do you balance that out, of course? So
right. Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, what day are we looking at next?
We're still on the 14th because later in the day, we see Mars come into the energy of Libra. Love Mars and Libra. I'm like, make out. Just make out. But if you can't do that, there's also some other things.
There is some other great energy.
There is also some, so, I mean, but what is your first, okay, you hear Mars in Libra. What do you think of first, just off the top of your head? It's going to be deep, I already know.
No, well, I'm just like, listen, what do you really want to do? Like, make a decision. Like, it feels like make a decision already. Like, push forward, but don't be wishy-washy. Like, I don't know. My mind thinks a little bit different. I know it might be like, but I'm just like, hey, go talk to the people you need to talk to. Don't be scared to speak to that, but they're not as smart as you think, right? So do that. Like, go push towards and build those bridges that you really want to build. Like, and don't think like, because it's almost like believe in yourself that you have enough and what it takes, and push forward. Because I always feel like that the Libra energy is always about like the social ladder or climbing that. So I'm like, hey, go for it. Like, go for it. Like, if you stumble, so what? If it looks a little clumsy, that's fine. You'll adjust. Like, you'll be able to adjust the scales. But just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just excited about maybe
well,
all my.
I have Mars in Libra, so I
Oh,
like
okay.
it. And it's so funny because I can tell you there are moments, not often anymore, where passive aggressive is an option, right? Passive aggressive is an option because
how was it before your Saturn return? How about that? I would love to hear that.
No, before my Saturn return, it was actually a little bit more rowdy, but I was like rowdy with you. Like, I'm like, no, we're going to talk about it. And the other person's like, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, well, I'm here. So we're going to talk, right? It was always like, we're going to do this.
Right.
And then after I was about 31, 32, and I hit that Saturn return, and then it kind of took a quieting, because either way, what does drive me is things to be fair and to be balanced. Things like that are really important to me, right? But then it kind of went the other way, where it was too silent or sometimes passive aggressive, until it made its way. I'm gonna tell you, 33, 34, 35, and all the way now, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can be well behaved and well mannered,
or I can put velvet on this hammer, right, and still hit you.
Velvet machete.
Right. So I I can do that as well. But I think it's also I think that is good. Like, it might feel rowdy in a way, but it's in a good, like, go push. Like, it's almost like somebody at the edge of the pool, push them in. Like, it's okay. Like, you got it. And I think that is, if there's something that is imbalanced, so I don't want you to yell at anybody that feels like it's unbalanced during this day, because that's what the energy can feel like, right? So the opposite of it is like you black out on somebody, and just take the time to almost like dress it up a little bit, make it more sophisticated, and you'd be surprised how well it will be received. Because yeah, like it's almost like you've ever had I've had it. My parents were so mad that they started to whisper, and you were like, ooh, it is really bad. Like, it was past yelling. Like, it was like they were like, listen to me clearly. Like, if you ever do this, it's like, your parent grabbing you in the public and whispering, if you ever do that again, I will break your feet. And you're like, yes, they might break them this time. So
just like, I don't know, this lady's not stable.
Right. So just sometimes it's getting a message across in that polished way that gets the most, versus just flipping the table.
Yes. And I will say, I think if in your genuine desire to have partnership, Libra, to have things be balanced, to be diplomatic, fair, if you're not with it that day, don't initiate conversation. Don't initiate confrontation, because likely the person who is also under Mars Libra will be like, okay, let's talk about that. And you're like, well, hold on, I was actually thinking you were going to back off.
Let's do it. And now you got to fight. Like, you got
right? And now we're going to have this conversation, which is fine, because I do think that one of the brilliant features of Mars, just in general, besides, action, is that if confrontation needs to happen, Mars will allow it to happen, and so we can also kind of clear the air. Yeah, sometimes things need to be said, but just, I think it's a good energy while we're traveling through the Mars and Libra season, which will take us all the way through October, right? Yeah, we get to October. Hold on, let's get the ephemeris.
I got it all right. Yep, so the end of October.
Yeah, October 29th. Yeah, because on the 30th, that'll go to Scorpio. Yep. So during this time, take actions that are diplomatic, right? And just don't start and I won't be none. That's still really good today.
It could be that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, shall we jump to the 16th, where it looks like we've got Sun, Pluto trine, Venus square Saturn as well. So again, planets running into these outer retrograde energies. So, but Sun trine Pluto, who's retrograde, so this will be between Virgo and Capricorn. They meet up at 24 degrees. As in this particular trine, I think it's powerful for getting some things done. But more than that, I find that this is the good time to, if somebody has position, or they have status, or they have power, talk to them then. Present the idea then. Right?
Absolutely.
Because the sun is like, wait, my tada has access to what you've got going on, and we might could do this. Right?
Yeah, to change the scene.
Yes.
Yeah, to change the scene. And so, it's tangible changes. It's actually with data and facts behind it. It's not just, what do you think about this? No, this is potentially what I see might be something that could be very beneficial to you, and make them see that you can see that I'm looking out for your best interest, but maybe the blind spot that you didn't see.
Absolutely. It's just really good for making those connections. And typically you look really credible.
Yeah.
When you're doing what you're doing, because Virgo's coming with facts, like you said, right? And Virgo wants the very best of the refinement. So now the other thing that I think it's pretty good for is if you are looking for work, or you are looking for an opportunity, or you needed to like engage a government agency, even though Pluto's retrograde, do it now. Or you applied for that passport 4 weeks ago, call now.
Right.
Call today.
Yeah. Call me now. So it's definitely also applying that, especially when you're addressing people, again, with them seeing your creativity, like with it being sextile, Neptune could be really beneficial as well.
So maybe almost like also owning where you have influence, right? To bring ideals to pass. And with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Yeah. And you'd be surprised. A lot of those old ideas you have will be very well received. So go for it.
Absolutely. When you told your mom that you were like, I want to grow up and be a scuba diver, and she was like, you'll starve, but I support your dream. You might be opening a scuba school. So when you're over there doing the scuba Steve, you let us know.
Oh, we'll funny you say that.
Are you going to be a scuba instructor?
No. No, but my dad, I told my dad I wanted to major in psychology when I was going to college. And my dad I'm Jamaican. Like there's 3 things, like it's engineer, lawyer, or doctor. And my dad was like, you want to go hungry, boy? Like, I was like, it's like that. He's like, you want to suffer? You want to suffer? And I'm like, God. So it's being confident in a lot of those things that you thought about before, like you said.
Yeah, but it's good though, because then we come down, we've got Venus in a square to Saturn. Now, Venus has had an opportunity to run into Pluto. Now she's like, bang, bang, Saturn, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? And this is between Scorpio, Aquarius. So this is a fixed square, which I tend to find is a little bit harder. I mean, of course, it's fixed energy. It's not easily convinced towards new action. So I don't know. I just feel like today will be some obstacles. Fixed signs, I feel like, have to have the obstacle and look at it and mull over it forever and then decide they'll do something with it.
It could be challenging. It could be a battle of the wills, for sure. It could be the battle of see, the thing is with this one is that because Saturn's in retrograde, it's still pulling some stuff from the past. So it's a matter of like, well, what is this? What are we doing here? Like, and with the, of course, with this, the Scorpio energy is a little bit heavier, but again, it's just change. Like, it's what change what do you really want to do, and what you put the work towards as well. And I think this is a good time to be confident to push forward. So we look at squares and see them as challenging. Remember, the challenge is where the growth is. So it's almost like saying like, hey, express your value, express it. It's change. It's different, but express it because you put the work in and you've done that. But now is the time. And I think that as long as the people have seen that the work has been put behind it, again, with the Saturn and the Scorpio energy, I think it'll be well received.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just want to think that But Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. You might have realized your dream of the scuba school, and you are telling your partner and your kids that you're going to have a scuba school, and they are not receiving that well because you have a job with benefits right now. Right? Like, or whatever the idea is. And also, though, Venus, like my pleasure center, is kind of tired. This might be a day to rest, right? Like, are you feeling like it's been too much? I'm running into these walls. And this is one thing I think is important whenever we're moving towards what's next for us, to remember not to hostage the people in your life. They may not understand the change that you're trying to make. Go to the people who have done something similar to what you've done, so that you can dig into their wisdom and experience and at least be settled by not having everybody be so afraid. I know that when I was changing my career, my family wanted to be happy for me, but they were so afraid. All I could meet was their resistance, and their fear, which of course amplified mine. I was like, you're right, I am going to starve.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's
natural.
You're willing to go through there. I mean, it's something that you say like, okay, I'm willing to do that. It's that transformational piece. Like, okay, it might not feel safe, but this illusion of safety actually is more detrimental to me than beneficial. So
you got to get your own circus crew, right?
Huh?
Like, you got to get your own circus crew. I had to go to astrologers. I had to stop talking to my poor family about my astro dream. I had to just go talk to astrologers. Yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, you're trying to do this. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm trying to do. And they got it. So, maybe a good day with Saturn, Aquarius, go back, find the people who already know how to do that.
Agree.
Okay, what else we got? I thought we had something else on that day. We don't. Oh, full moon.
Yep. So good.
Okay, so we've got the full moon on the 20th, and this is going to be at 28.
20, I think it's 29:37.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, there we go. Okay, 29 Pisces. That is important. Yep. We're at 29 degrees.
Yeah, I have 28:14 is in the ephemeris. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yep.
Here. All right. So either way, this is still pretty good. This is an advanced moon. We're not playing with the small guns here under this particular full moon. Okay. So now we've got this moon as it looks. This is ruling planet of this moon is retrograde. Mars and Pluto are rocking together here. Also on the same day, we're going to have Mercury trine Jupiter is retrograde. Okay. I know, right? We got to
make some adjustments.
Got to make some adjustments and get into this. Okay. But either way, so we're at this full moon, which says that something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. All the lights are on in the sky now, right? Whereas before we were at that new moon, it was dark soil of magic. Now we're at the full moon time and everything's on. So the subconscious, unconscious, 5 lifetimes ago, it's all lit up and you can kind of see it. And what I like about the full moon is in the ending, acknowledgement, or adjustment, everything's on your table. It's like the universe has come and put your cards on the table to say, over the last 4 weeks in the small cycle, here's what we've got to work with, right? But Neptune is still the ruling energy of this more advanced moon. So where I feel like the advanced degree of this moon helps us is that maybe to know thyself is a little bit stronger at this time, but Neptune, I think, leaves some fog in the way here.
Emotion, for sure. I mean, I mean, what degree you use for your conjunctions? What's the orb, excuse me?
I'm a snob. Okay, so I
do like 5 or 3.
I do 5. However, if it's a moon, I give it 10.
Okay, so we do have a conjunction then from your side. Then. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a traditional orb snob. I'm like, no, get out of here. You don't live here anymore.
It's so funny that I have people that are like, listen, if it's over 5, that's nothing. Like, it's like, but again, we have 2. I mean, it's a very powerful thing because again, you have also at 5, right? You have the sun 5 degrees, right? Conjunction of Mars. So it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
Well, and then just, I'm thinking as we were talking about it, just back at that new moon, that Uranus Venus
Mhm.
energy, at this particular moon too, I think jumps in and plays a form. Maybe it's not as strong or not as conducive for money decisions, romance decisions, things like that. I don't know. What do you think there?
So it's funny. I'm glad that people are seeing, like, there's everybody has a different way of interpreting these things, and it's to help each other to understand what you might see or what you might not see. So because again, with the Neptune, it's so difficult to kind of, it's almost like trying to, with such water intensity, with such emotion intensity, during probably the most famous of, I mean, it's not the biggest astrological event, but it's the one that people know the first, the full moon. Having that heightened emotion, I'm just like, what, again, it's, to me, it's just like, what is being bubbled up to the surface? What's, because of that Neptunian retrograde feeling. And it could be in a great way. It could be in a great way. So again, I'm going to give you a 3 degrees orb on.
I'm 5. I'm not that
I'll give you 3 degrees orb again with our Pluto friend, right? So it's 2 retrograde planets right now with a very big emotional type of, I don't know what to avoid. And I think, do we have a kite going on? Do we have one?
I would not read that as such.
Just want to make sure I'm not seeing things wrong in regards to that. But either way, it's a big energy.
Well, so look at this Mars-Pluto interaction. What do you think about this? Because I feel like Mars-Pluto is driven just in its nature,
Yeah.
I feel like it's driven. So I'm wondering, okay, we've got this maybe exposure at a Pisces moon, right? Like things need to be transparent. Things need to be able to move between worlds. We've got all of the lights on at this time. And maybe this Mars-Pluto in a very earthy kind of way is like, well, I got this advantage. I've got an advantage here. I didn't even see this as an opportunity, but now I see it.
That, I mean, it's, and are you willing to go towards it? It's being exposed, but now are you willing to take the step? Like, it's like the curtain is drawn from, you have a slight peek behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. Like, are you willing to go there? Yeah. And I full moons are, I mean, full moon energy is very powerful, but then adding that Neptunian element, it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know how it feels, because again, the subconscious is hidden, and this is already trying to expose everything. Again, if you look at the Game of Thrones analogy I used earlier, this is the time not to attack, right? It's because everything's up to the light, but now it exposes you to certain things, which could be good. And now you can be able to see things clearly that you might have tucked away. So,
yeah. Well, and hopefully, my God, I think, the universe is kind. From the new moon at the full moon, I think some things have come to fruition. We realize some things at this time. So it is like, truly check in at this time, because something good has been delivered, but you maybe have to stop and look to be able to identify it.
And it could be hidden in plain sight.
That ain't that the truth. Now, Mercury has got this nice trine going with Jupiter on the same day, and Jupiter is retrograde after sneaking himself.
There you go.
Yeah, sneaking himself back into Aquarius. Now, I love that, especially in this air energy over here. I'm like, it's the full moon, but maybe you need to talk, you need to travel, you need to, even if it's a mental travel, right? This is an air energy, but I think, like, what are you doing, or what plans are you making that is about to physically get you in the air? What are you doing? Are you about to travel? You're going to do it? I mean, the moon in Aries just the next day is going to oppose Mercury. and then square Pluto, right? But then
Hmm. Hmm.
Venus gets into this nice opposition with Uranus. And I don't think that those are negative for this like little adventure that you maybe want to go on.
It definitely feels like an optimistic adventure coming, but it's just a matter of just Jupiter always gets me nervous a little bit. The only reason,
Why?
you know why? Because if you think of the planet, it's like 90% gas. So I'm like, make sure that you have something tangible and it's not just this explosion of ideas, that you can actually boil it down a little bit so that you can apply it versus, I want to change the temperature of the world. It becomes such a big thing. It becomes, you know what it feels like? It can feel like fireworks. Like it's just in the distance and making a lot of, it's pretty and explosive, but what is it really? Like, all right, after all that is fizzled out and the air has come out of it, what do you really want? So,
well, and Jupiter is it's one of our more outer planets as well. So I would wonder too, just in the world globally trining Mercury, if we're not going to have information or contracts or decisions or hear of something that is significant to a way forward.
We got to be
globally.
And we have a retrograde coming in a couple of days from there. So in a week. So that's another thing to think about coming up.
Yeah, and Mercury is slowed down at this point. So it is, it's pretty concentrated on the way to this, so I almost don't even wonder if, that makes a lot of sense. Mercury is slowed down enough that I wonder if we're not kind of, at least globally, going back to something we've already been working on and making deals or making contracts out of it or hearing big information. Like, I just feel like it's decision-making day. So maybe even the travel is that you hear it from, in Mexico, they decided to do something or, maybe that's the travel piece.
Well, I think it could also be like what you said in regards to ideas as well. I think it's bringing the old to the new as well. So it could be something like you said, that's being brought up from the past. That what happened? You have something you're looking.
Oh no, I'm looking at the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But somebody said that thing you said where it's hidden in a previous list that you wrote. Yeah, I think that's valuable. Maybe you already said it and you forgot. Okay, get ready to close out this month. But we've got the 22nd where we've got the sun entering into Libra. We've got an equinox, depending on where you are in the world, you're going to have one or the other. So we've got a season change at that time. We've also got Mercury square Pluto, who's retrograde that day. So energetically, it is a busy day on the 22nd, not to mention, like I said, the moon will come on into Aries as well. So it is just like
a lot of change, a lot of change. Just don't be agitated by the moon. And the moon in Aries always gives me agitation. As weird as anybody I speak to, I'm like, just take 2 seconds, like just 2 seconds before you say it, just like, how is this going to sound? Because it just can feel agitating, especially with a lot of change, right? So the astrological seasons are changing as well. And there's a lot of changes. People make a lot of adjustments externally. Farmers make a lot of adjustments because it's winding down a season. So think of that. And because that's the energy that I always get when it comes to the equinoxes. And the sun is appearing lower in the skies. So it's really trying to give you time to potentially button things up and go into that another phase. So
yeah, and it's the sun in a cardinal energy. So it is like begin your balance.
2 cardinal energies, the moon and
yeah, fair, right? So it is like from the insides to the outsides. This is our indicator at season shift. That's like, okay, good job, you made it these other seasons, but right now we need to beam with vitality in taking stock of what allows us to have balance and shake it off a little bit, right? This is a new season. Personally, cut your hair, shave your legs, or stop shaving, whatever your situation is. Like, take some physical things that bring you into this new season, you know what I mean? But also realize that a part of the new season means you made some decisions, there were some revelations that happened, and it's time to live them. Like, it's not time to be thinking so much about them anymore. I think now we start to live them.
Action, push forward. Again, that cardinal energy, like you said, it's very important. it's a shift of another season. Again, all the cardinal signs are the starting of new seasons. And people, when you start to realize that within yourself and say, where is your fall? Like where is that in your house system? Like, and then these are very important times. And once you start to realize that, you start to make the adjustment to say, hey, my spring is same times as yours, right? Because again, we have our rising sign, but now our fall is that same type of energy. So it's really taking the fall energy of understanding the season change and pushing forward towards that, because you have the sun and the moon telling you to like, hey, it's time to go. So don't be too agitated. It doesn't go that fast.
Yeah. Yeah, because the fallback is that Mercury, my thinking, my mind will be squaring Pluto, and I can just become defensive. And it's like, well, that's not necessary.
Pluto's such a great energy. I hope I'm not giving. Again, I love all things Pluto, all things Scorpio. Most of my clients are Scorpios because they want to go there, right? But it's not bad energy ever. Like I hope that nobody ever thinks of the depth of what I'm trying to say or the intensity is a bad thing. It is a great thing in my opinion. So.
Me too, because where Pluto, I think, forward or retrograde is really great is if you need to do some intensive research, Pluto retrograde is phenomenal. And Mercury squaring that Pluto retrograde will make you do it, right? You're like, well, I need to get these facts.
Yeah.
I need to get this information.
Yeah,
right?
I have a person that I'm actually recommending during that time. She doesn't do her bookkeeping as well as she wants to. And I'm like, well, you don't know what you're making until you dig into those numbers. But it's painstakingly boring work for her. But I'm like, hey, you don't know how much you're making. So you're in business, you could be churning versus this is something you're ignoring. Just do it. You'll be happy after you get it done.
Yeah, so, you could stop selling that one whole product because you like it and it's not making you any money. Tell her to call me too, because I'll be like, let's get it, let's go. I'm gonna help you make money.
It's just been, I mean, trust me, it's an energy most people try to avoid, but once you tell them the right way to use it, it's very it's like an aha moment for a lot of people in a good way.
Sure.
It's an energy shift.
Venus opposing Uranus. This is going to be on the 23rd. So we're going to see this opposition, obviously, between Scorpio and Taurus, and they'll meet this opposition at 14.
I have I didn't tell you. I have a hard stop at 5.
Okay, good. Well, what time is it there? Is it 4?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No. See, I love these conversations because it doesn't, we're both like, what time is it? Like,
I know, like you get lost. Okay, well then let's do it. Let's get out because you have 10 minutes.
About 13 minutes, 12 minutes.
13. Yeah. Okay, so at 10, we got 10 minutes. Let's do it. Venus oppose Uranus. Now, typically, this to me just signals somebody's going to change their love or they're going to change their money. I just feel like we're gonna change directions here somewhere.
And it could be uncomfortable, and that's fine.
It could be, but also Uranus is retrograde. So if you've been working on something, especially something financially, you've been working on something romantically, I think you can see it come back to the table, right?
Yeah,
where it is
bringing old things up from the past. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And it is still between Taurus and Scorpio. It's fixed energy. So you've probably been working long and hard at it. But this is an energy, when fixed energies change direction for any reason, that's the equivalent of taking a risk. That's very Uranian. Because it's change your mind is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's something that it's almost like picking up something that has been cemented in the ground and shifting. It's not an easy thing, but you'd be surprised. If you leave it there, it's not going to get any better. So let's just go and do it.
Exactly. Well, Venus, Scorpio, Uranus is shaking, not stirring Taurus. So if you have had emotional or financial traumas and dramas as well, I think these actually help to relieve, right? Like you have the action, you have the new action plus the old hurt, and you put them together. And I think it actually can act as a pressure relief at this particular time.
Hopefully, yeah. And if you didn't ignore it from the past, yep. No, I mean, the thing is, it's hard to plan for Uranus. Like it's such a surprise aspect sometimes. Like it's like
sometimes. So. Yeah, no, it's so funny. This is my whole year stance. I'm like, okay, Uranus. Like I'm like on my toes.
On now.
Right. I'm
Don't
like, what
hit
you
me
got?
with the punch I can't see, because that's gonna knock me out.
Right. Or I'm on my toes. I'm like, Uranus, we're doing that. Okay. I'm the
Yep.
most limber little Taurus right now.
And exactly like it's not the easiest thing, but you
It's
have to
not.
have that level of flexibility
Okay.
because you
Mars. Oh, sorry. Let me cut you
go
off. I
ahead,
got
go ahead.
excited. Mars trine Saturn on the 25th, Libra Aquarius. They're meeting up at 7 degrees. Saturn is still retrograde. If you have too much going on, this I think will show you which things can come off the plate, where it's like, I need to have all of my energy and my ambition pointed and focused at this particular thing, because this is pulling me out of balance. So I need to strongly focus on this for foundation. I mean, what do you think?
Give me the time for that one.
Let's see. So we're on the 25th.
25th, right?
At Mars, where did you go? He's run off 8:50
PM or AM?
This would be AM.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the exact charts, and people, it makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference. Is that? And I'm looking at this from the ephemeris. I don't have it pulled up
okay.
the screen.
Cool.
So, but either way, I think you have an opportunity to make decisions that lead you to much longer term success, because you get focused on this can't stay. I have to author my own life. This doesn't work. So it's a great energy, I think, that day for that. Personally, Gordon's over there.
No, because again, it's a good, it's a good restructuring time. Like again, like you said, it's a good restructuring time and pushing forward with that, especially with at that time, the sun is going to be conjunct Mars as well. So you have an additional energy in regards to that. So, and I'm a big fan of Saturn and Pluto. So anything that has to do with that, even with the trines, it's a level of focus and resilience that you're gonna have, especially with that Saturn. So.
Well, and then we get just one day down the road, and we're going to see Mercury take this retrograde in Libra at 25 degrees. Now, the pre-retrograde shadow time did start at 10 degrees. So if you're watching really between 10 and 25 degrees of Libra, you can kind of see what you're going to be working on during the retrograde path. But I did hear something really cool from Gary Caton, and he really watches the loops, and he suggested that we back up all the way to 6 degrees of Mercury. I don't fully follow the loop logic of why he said that, but I trust him on all things Mercury. So, if you want to go all the way back to 6 degrees, I'm going to back up to what was happening at 6 degrees of Libra in my chart and see what it is. But either way, we've got Mercury stationing. Retrograde station days can be hard, because the energy is like compound interest hitting all at one time. Now we'll see Mercury come out of retrograde October 18th, but it will finish the full retrograde cycle November 2nd, where it comes back into full power. So Mercury retrograde, if you have Mercury retrograde, I'll see you in the streets. Okay, because you're going to come out. I will see you in the streets. You're going to be out here. You're going to be talking about things you've been waiting years, months to talk about, and now they're up and out on the table. And everybody else will be inside.
Yeah,
working our plans.
And that's the thing. Most people don't think of that you could be born during these times. So again, it's all. So most of, like you said, most of the people that have that Mercury retrograde have a lot of internal work, a lot of journaling work, a lot of playwrights and things that I've dealt with. Now it's time to say, like, oh, now that energy is flipped. Like you said, it feels uncharacteristic, but it should feel very natural. It should feel like, wow, this is different, but cool. Like this is actually what I should be doing, and getting all those things that you've hidden or written out there. So I wish people didn't criminalize Mercury retrogrades, but it's a great time.
Sure, but sometimes, Gordon, it just is what it is, right? Like, it's right here. It's so close to us. Like, yes, and nobody's exempt from a Mercury retrograde, right? That's the thing. So we're all trying to walk forward, but our brains are really moving backwards. So you're going to bump into each other. Give each other some grace. Nobody's exempt from this, except for those poor people who were born with Mercury retrograde, where they're just got the benefit of the doubt going right now, but they don't have it most of the year. So be kind to them too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Review,
and again,
review.
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say we got two more days. Let's do them really fast. The
Yep.
29th, we've got Venus trine Neptune, and then the 30th, we've got Venus square Jupiter. So we've got a mix between Scorpio Pisces and Scorpio Aquarius. So Venus trine Neptune, who is
I love
retrograde.
that energy.
Yeah, these are the Bopsy twins, right? Like,
yeah,
I
love
the
this.
world is so good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a highly sensitive and great time to be observant in regards to the things that you have going on. I mean, internally, it's time. I would say, like, book a session with you, book a session with your counselor or somebody you confide with, because you can get a lot of things bubble to the surface that you can talk about and not feel judged. And I really like that energy. And you might feel the connection of the subconscious and conscious a lot. You can communicate that, and why not take advantage of that energy, of all energies? I really enjoy that one.
Yeah, me too. And Neptune's retrograde, so probably connecting about something from the past. If you are like, let's say you were companions and you've been separated for some time, some sex would really be nice right now. All things pleasurable. It's still Venus, it's still Neptune. They like to do things, watch the movie, have the wine, do the things that are relaxing and that are beautiful and allow you to drop back into your ideals. Now, Venus squaring Jupiter. These are the other set of Bopsy twins, right?
Just don't go too far. Don't go too far with that Venus and Jupiter, right? It's going to the extreme now. We're going to the extreme of, I'm not saying that you're going to go get married, but don't do the Vegas trip and get married. Like, it's the extreme of like trying or going past the point of really not almost seeing too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, don't do too much that time, because again, you've had that beautiful energy the day before of really opening up, and now you're vulnerable, but super excited. Like, you chill out, relax, so.
Yes. This is the day where you're going to go back to like December. Or you're going to go back to between May and July when Jupiter moved into Pisces and you bought that big ass piece of furniture you don't need. And you're going to get under this
no spontaneous purchases, please. Right? Like, don't buy a house that day. Like,
right. But this is where you're going to take that Venus square Jupiter and it ends up on like letgo.com because you also lost the receipt. You're going to take it back. Right. You'd be like, I don't need a luxury do too item.
Much. It's the extremes. Like, you just got to be super careful about that. But yeah.
Okay. All right, man. Well, so we have run through, you guys, all the weeks, the energies that are kind of coming, big things, and you can check out right here on Instagram. Gordon is every day doing affirmations, doing astrology. You can come to my YouTube channel. The monthlies, the weeklies are laid out. There is astro information and content available for you to follow, get your own chart so you can really follow it quite closely. And thank you guys for joining us, watching us play with technology. And Gordon, thanks for
hosting this, and also thanks for, again, that people, this is raw. By the way, this is not planned. So what you're getting is our raw thoughts and feelings, and that's the beauty of it. So it's, again, being exposed like that to give you exactly what our initial thoughts are, because she didn't prep me with the dates. I just want to let you know. So she was like, you're going to give me exactly what I want to hear, which is your initial thoughts. So thanks so much for the space. I always enjoy this time. So looking forward to this energy coming up over the weekend. And again, as the fellow Virgo riser, people don't know. So again, we're really going to take advantage of this. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I love you guys. And we will see you in the next session that we do together. If you are watching on YouTube in just a couple minutes, 2 other videos are about to pop up, take you to some